Hello dear fellows, I'm EvilPunk, and this is a look at Forza Motorsport, the latest release from Turn 10, published by Xbox Game Studios. It's been a while since Turn 10 released a Forza Motorsport game. The last release was Forza Motorsport 7 in 2017. With a gap that long, a couple of very important questions need to be answered. Is Forza Motorsport worth playing, and is Forza Motorsport worth buying? If you're an avid player of the Forza Motorsport series, then the answer is yes. This is going to feel like a massive breath of fresh air, familiar yet greatly improved. If you're new to the series, this is a great game to start with, as it's absolutely the most technologically advanced and user-friendly entry in terms of overall game design and gameplay. If that answer doesn't satisfy you, let's take a deeper look at Forza Motorsport. Forza Motorsport's car and driving physics are greatly improved, and the sound and visual design are absolutely stunning. The controller gameplay feels great. Steering responds more realistically and naturally, even on a controller or gamepad. No more silly infinite steering lock at top speed, like in previous Forza Motorsport entries, that made faster cars at top speeds feel nearly uncontrollable. Cars in Forza Motorsport now generally feel much more tame. Something I greatly appreciate about the new Forza Motorsport game is how much more control you have under braking and loading up the tires when getting back on the accelerator. Controller gameplay feels similar to Assetto Corsa or Project Cars, but here it feels much more refined. Forza Motorsport now features a new rule set and difficulty system, which includes a new penalty system called the Forza Race Regulations, which can be turned off in single player and private multiplayer, but this remains on in featured multiplayer. Forza Motorsport now also features new practice sessions. While you could always practice in previous titles, they never had official sessions with other cars on the track. Practice sessions are not mandatory, but they will get you some extra car experience and credits, as well as help familiarize yourself with the track before starting your race. Practice sessions are skippable from the pause menu. Each practice session will have a bonus objective to complete a lap faster than the posted time. And not only do you get this bonus objective, you also gain CXP or car experience as you would in any other race. So even if you're familiar with the track already, practice sessions are not a complete waste of time. You can no longer buy and immediately fully upgrade a car. It must be leveled up by racing and earning CXP or car experience. CXP is earned by how well you drive on the racetrack and overtaking other cars. CXP is not shared between cars. For example, I have these two Honda Civics. They're the same car, but they do not share the CXP. One is leveled up and one is not. Cars are now upgraded with CP or car points instead of credits, which are earned by racing and leveling up your car. And just like CXP, these are not shared between vehicles, even if they are duplicates. Another thing that's greatly improved in Forza Motorsport are the pit stops. Longer races will now require tire and fuel strategies. The entire pit lane is automated during entry and exit. You do not have control of the car during this section, but you do get to select your fuel and tire strategy while in the pit lane. It's definitely a nice touch and much more immersive to see the pit crew is fully animated. While this process may feel simplified when compared to other racing sims, it's a step in the right direction for Forza. Unfortunately, however, races in career mode are too short to feature pit stops. You will only see them in free play and featured multiplayer. New for career mode is risk versus reward. This is a feature where you select your starting position on the grid, The further back you start, the higher the reward. The further up, the smaller the reward. This feature is not optional. You will select your position before every race in career mode, meaning it is not randomized and there are no qualifying sessions. Now here are some pros and cons for Forza Motorsport. Starting with the pros. Here I'll show you the visual and audio presentation with straight gameplay. Gameplay on the controller feels much more comfortable, thanks to the improved physics and car handling. Forza Motorsport is easy to pick up and play, while also still feeling like a racing sim. Gameplay is a throwback to the older games in the series and generally feels rewarding. Pit stops now feature animations which are much more immersive for gameplay. Skill and knowledge from other racing sims will translate well into Forza Motorsport 2023. Since Forza Motorsport is on Game Pass, I was worried it would feature pay-to-win mechanics. Forza Motorsport has zero pay-to-win mechanics. Leveling up cars does not take very long and feels rewarding. It's definitely a throwback to the older titles in the Forza series. It's a lot easier to recover from mistakes and generally harder to make them in the first place. Multiplayer is great and mostly clean thanks to the Forza race regulations. Forza Motorsport is on the Game Pass, which theoretically should bump the multiplayer numbers up. Gameplay on a controller is much more possible and a lot more fun. Now moving on with some cons. Career races are far too short, negating use for tire and fuel strategy. You can no longer control race distance in career races. Car experience and car points are not shared between duplicate cars. However, this is mitigated with the setup manager, saving, and loading tunes. Car points are refunded when you take upgraded parts off, so you can still have multiple builds in a single car saved as tunes without spending all the credits. For some reason, fuel load seems to not be calculated correctly in free race. This seems like more of a bug. The AI in Forza Motorsport can be fast, but don't feel particularly smart. Qualifying sessions currently only exist in the multiplayer featured races. There are no qualifying sessions in free play or career. Forza Motorsport is missing some very prominent tracks from within the series. However, the tracks it does have feel high quality. A few bugs I've experienced personally are progression loss in career mode, an infinite loading screen which led to the bug with progression loss in career mode. My game crashed once randomly in free play when attempting to adjust the fuel load. Fuel loads for some reason in free play generally seem to not be calculated correctly, and free play once just failed to start altogether. While annoying and frustrating, none of these bugs have ruined my experience overall. These are easily forgiven with great gameplay, also provided they're fixed in future updates. Moving on to my general thoughts and opinions on Forza Motorsport. Having separate currency for buying cars and upgrading them is an interesting design. On paper it sounds like a terrible idea. I was skeptical when I heard it, but in practice it feels intuitive and natural paired with the car experience system. I'm not bothered by it after experiencing it personally. It might feel a little strange now having two kinds of currency in a Forza game, but it's a game design I think may have been necessary, being that Forza Motorsport is on Game Pass day one, since VIP members will receive 2 times credit for playing the game and base users will not. VIP or not, all users must level up their cars and earn CP all the same, so the offset in credit earnings is sort of balanced out in the fact credits can't be used to upgrade cars right off rip. I don't think the design choice for duplicate cars not sharing CXP and CP is necessarily a bad decision, because it can be worked around or mitigated entirely by using the setup manager, saving and loading tunes. However, I can see it being a problem if you like to have the same car with a couple different designs on it. The career mode is very enjoyable, with 4 different championships, each with 5 series with 5 to 6 races, and while not particularly long, varying race distances. And the career mode does not feel as grindy or repetitive as the past couple Forza games. Fuel and tire strategy feels like a massive missed opportunity in career mode, because every race is too short to warrant a strategy. Just fuel your car to the appropriate number of laps and go. Tires will affect car performance, but the race will not be long enough for the tires themselves to wear out and lose any performance, therefore rendering any sort of pit stop strategy completely useless. I feel slightly misled that the fuel and tire strategy are not important factors in career mode, since this game was said to be a true racing sim. There are short 2 to 3 lap practice sessions, followed by an additional 10 minutes or so of free practice after the required 2 to 3 laps are completed, but there are no qualifying sessions for career mode. I expected there to be an option to allow us to play full practice and qualifying sessions, then medium to long 20 to 40 minute or even upwards to 1 or 2 hour races in career mode. I think Forza Motorsport shines best in free play, where you can create almost any type of race you can imagine, and in multiplayer, where racing is competitive against other players, and thanks to the new Forza race regulations, feels a lot more like real racing. The multiplayer really gets the adrenaline pumping, where everyone is racing hard but fair, pushing and trying to find the limit, but also trying to keep it on the track and avoid contact. Not to say career mode isn't any fun, because it's still plenty of fun and feels rewarding. This Forza entry feels like it's focused more on the multiplayer and getting it right than the single player aspect, which I don't think is a negative thing. As someone who mostly enjoys the single player more than the multiplayer, I feel like I'm more attracted to the multiplayer and will probably spend a good chunk more time racing online than I normally would, and I think that has to be a win for this particular Forza entry. All this not to say the single player is not good, because it is good. The game overall as a whole feels like a massive step forward for the series. Is the Forza Motorsport reboot any good? Yes, gameplay overall is improved drastically. Controller gameplay feels much more refined, much more natural and responsive. Forza Motorsport looks better, it sounds better, and it feels better. It is much closer to the racing sim side of the spectrum, and for the most part, much less arcadey. Forza Motorsport feels like a return to form, a much needed passion project straight from the hearts of Turn 10 and Xbox Game Studios.